Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. It's me, by the way. Anyway, I'm going to talk today about the issues that are coming out now, about the problems faced by the families of the children that were murdered by that wicked witch, the horrible sadistic bitch, Lucy LETBY. Or let us just call her LETBY. Yeah, forget that, the first name, because she doesn't deserve to be recognised as belonging to the human race at this point, or ever again, I believe. Now, there are those that are saying, and I believe psychiatric experts are saying, that she isn't a psychopath. Now, to say that she isn't a psychopath would clearly indicate that they believe that she does have some empathy with her victims and the families of the victims of the children that she murdered. I personally haven't seen that. The judge said that she showed no remorse whatsoever, and indeed she wouldn't even enter the dock so that the families could see her being sentenced and that they could have their moment of expressing their disturbance at her diabolically dark deeds. LETBY is, in my opinion, a psychopath. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I was, for a long time, a nurse in HM prisons and was the officer in charge of the unit at Strangers where inmates were sent for psychiatric evaluation. So I have seen numerous psychopaths, and they all have one trait: they're just self-centered. They are completely and utterly focused upon nobody but themselves, don't care about other people, and they show absolutely no empathy. And that is exactly what LETBY has been doing, no empathy whatsoever. Now, I believe that she is eventually going to be removed from the prison setting, possibly for her own safety, and taken to an institution such as Rampton Hospital, Psychiatric Hospital for the Criminally Insane, because I believe she has displayed all that is necessary to be sectioned under the Mental Health Act and held indefinitely with no possibility of release in an institution for those who are criminally insane. But the other problem that is coming out here, which I really want to talk about today, is the issue that the families of the victims, the babies, the families, they're claiming they've been fobbed off. When they complained to the authorities, excuses were made, and they were misdirected or told that they were delusional. Doctors were told that they were mistaken when they made observations about LETBY. And generally speaking, it was a case of the institution covering its tracks. Now, institutions do that because institutions are institutionally psychopathic. They only concentrate on themselves. At Strangeways, there were numerous occasions when inmates were seriously injured by staff, and of course complaints came up, but it was always the old story: oh, they fell down the stairs. That's the standard story. Yeah, people failed to notice that there was a big boot print on the arse. Yeah, basically that's what institutions do. Institutions protect themselves, because if they don't protect themselves, it is believed by the people who are running them, then the people who are running them will no longer be running them. They'll be ousted from their position. So they always, as a matter of first instinct, to make excuses, and that's what they've been doing with LETBY and the families of the children. It's terrible, diabolical. I mean, as a father myself, with my child was when she was born in intensive care, and I know the heartache that this causes, and to have your child subsequently murdered by a simpleton like LETBY, who must be simple-minded in her way. She can pass exams, doesn't matter. You can still be simple-minded. You're on a one-track psychopathic ride to hell, and that's where she's ended up, and that's where she will stay. But listen, institutions protect themselves. That's exactly what's happened with LETBY and the hospital that employed her. It was the Cheshire Hospital, wasn't it? And the people in charge of that, the people who made those decisions, should, I believe, be looking very carefully at themselves. But all institutions should consider that. I mean, I, at Strange Ways, reported numerous problems to senior management who absolutely denied that there were any problems. I can see nothing wrong with this, Mr. Sutton. You're wasting our time, wasting my time. Why are you doing this? Well, quite obviously I wasn't wasting anybody's time. I was trying to protect somebody's life. But because it reflected badly upon that particular institution, then the management closed the ranks, and I was the bad boy. Because I'd pointed the finger, said, look, this is dangerous, here we have problems. No, we don't, Mr. Sutton, it's you're the problem, yeah. At Wormwood Scrubs, same thing. I discovered that the hostel, which was just outside the gates of Wormwood Scrubs, occupied by inmates from Wormwood Scrubs who were coming towards the end of their long-term sentences, and they were housed in the hostel and worked in London. I discovered that the hostel was being used as a base for armed robberies, and of course, because I knew what the institution did, that the institution just closed down and shut ranks, they wouldn't look at this, so I went directly to the police. You can imagine what happened there. But doing that, you become ostracised. I got a formal warning, and I had my record of service noted that I was acting outside of direct instructions, and basically I was the man in the wrong, despite the fact that the inmates in the hostel were holding Jean Junction in Oxford Street in London, armed robbery. Yeah, they pulled that off, and they eventually got them because they ran away. And what did they do? As soon as I rang the governor to say we're coming in, because I was with at the time, I went to the flying squad, that's the Sweeney, and they said to me, we're going to raid the hostel, tell the governor. So I rang the prisoner and spoke to the governor and told him what was going to happen. And by the time we got there, the hostel had been emptied. All the inmates in the hostel had suddenly booked themselves out on a Sunday morning. They'd all booked themselves out by 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning. About 20 inmates, gone, all the lot. Where had they gone? Who had moved them? I'll tell you who'd moved them. They'd been moved on the instructions of the governor, because the institution cannot be at fault. And that is what's happened with LETBY. And it's a disgrace. Somebody should be hauled over the coals, I believe, if it can be proved. If it can be proved. I mean, everybody is innocent until proven guilty, but I believe somebody should have a go at it. And the families, in my opinion, of the victims, the family of the children, the babies that were murdered, should form a class action against the hospital. Sad, I know, but I believe that's what's got to happen. Now it's time for me to read you a poem. No singing. Yesterday's version of Your Cheating Heart was not very well received. Larry's been on the moor crying ever since. This is a poem by Percy Shelley. It's called Love's Philosophy. It's something of a metaphysical poem, comparing the power of love to the power of nature and to the natural rule of the world. This is Love's Philosophy by Shelley. Just got to get the lighting right here. Yeah, notice I'm wearing a scruffy, dirty jumper. You're right there. Love's Philosophy. Let me get this absolutely right so I'm getting the right sound here. The fountains mingle with the river, and the rivers with the ocean. The winds of heaven mix forever with a sweet emotion. Nothing in the world is single. All things by a law divine in one another's being mingle. Why not I with thine? See the mountains kiss high heaven, and the waves clasp one another. No sister flower would be forgiven if it disdained its brother. And the sunlight clasps the earth, and the moonbeams kiss the sea. What are all these kissings worth, if thou kiss not me? There we are. Percy Bysshe Shelley, as read by John G. Sutton. Thank you very much for watching Tales from the Jails. Yeah, don't forget to get my book, folks. It's HMP Manchester Prison Officer, available on Amazon. Bye.